Hi, everyone. Thank you very much, Amaka. So, yes, that's pretty much all you need to know about Sam. Let me share my screen real quick and then I'll start with what I have prepared. Just give me a minute. Okay, so hi, everyone. My name is Sam, and I will be here today to take us on. Oh, before I continue, please confirm everyone can see my screen. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so again, I'm Sam, and today we'll be discussing data-driven decision making for product managers. A couple of things that we'll be going through will be why it is you must rely on data. Like, why must you actually use data anyways? Like, what's the point? I can just vibe everything, and the trend of vibe coding recently, so I can just vibe everything and just make it work that way. Then we'll also be touching on the types of product data used in decision making. We'll also shed a little light or just discuss a data-driven decision framework that you could start with, and then along the line you could redesign this to fit your product or fit you as a product manager. Also, we'll be talking about how to operate in environments with limited data. So, to be honest, most of us would start our careers in startups in Africa, in Nigeria. And the sad thing about that is a lot of startups in Africa, in Nigeria, don't really have a lot of data on their own to help with their decision making. So, what do you then do in those kind of situations? Then also that will lead us into building a data collection system. So if you're going to be a PM at a startup industry, okay, data, what would you do to ensure that a data collection system is imbibed in that particular industry, so a company or anywhere you work, startup and stuff like that. Then we'll also touch on common mistakes in data-driven decision making. So let's not waste much of our time with introduction and then let's dive right in. So what I talk about is like data-driven decision itself. Like what is it? Um, a couple of people just define it as, or a couple of PMs not define that, okay, it is using data to help you know what to do or know what picture it is you want to implement or know how to respond to a metric that is not performing as well as you want it to. So that's like kind of this decision and definitions that people try to use for data-driven decision making. So one thing that wants to that one truth that we have to accept is most places you're going to work at, most places we currently work at, they are not using data for their decisions. It's mostly orga driven or mostly your CEO driven, and that is relying on intuition or relying on vibes or how you feel like, okay, no, I feel this is a feature um, customers or users will want. I feel this is a feature. Sorry. Okay, can I go on? Is everything okay?
Yes, you can go on. Sorry about that.
All right, thank you. So I feel this is a decision that a feature that customers might want. Most of the time we're always feeling, and because you are an employee at that company, to be honest, you have to do what the boss has requested, or else you might be replaced with someone that is more um in line with their vision, that kind of stuff. Even if you have backings from data that, oh no, I think we should go this direction instead. So yeah, that is the gospel truth about what we face in most companies, like not just African companies too. In most other companies, people want to have their personality reflect through their products, and that sometimes could be detrimental to the product. So why is it that PMs must rely on data? A couple of one thing I like to say is PMs PMs operate as a midpoint between business strategy, technology, and the user experience. And this means that you are involved in every of these three arms, like every last one of these three arms, you are involved in them. And one person doing all this stuff can be overwhelming. So if one person doing all this stuff can be overwhelming, and the extra pressure on that is you have to get it right, because for your product to succeed, each of these things has to be top notch, has to be like spot on. So that's one very, very important thing that PMs need to know. So what is now the arc or the cheat code, so to speak, that you would have to employ is by using data for most of the decisions. That, okay, yes, I might not know how this is going to perform, but let me see what can guide me in knowing that, okay, this might be the right place to go. This might be the right direction for us to go. That's what data really does for you. It just backs up your decisions and helps you feel more confident that, okay, no, this might be the right path to go in this regard. This might be the right step to take in this particular crossroad or cross point that we find ourselves in. So, okay, yes. So now I want to talk about how data helps product managers in the sense of still what it is that you need data for. It helps you reduce risk, because when it comes to product, especially when you're working at a startup that is launching their very first product and like they're investing a lot in it, it's a lot of pressure when you think about, oh, okay, what are the decisions that need to be made? How do I make sure that these decisions are the right ones? How do I make sure that these things are the right features to build? Or my priority is even correct, that the market needs this, market wants this, or market will use this before they use it and stuff like that. All of those risks, data can actually help you mitigate them in the sense of um, without data, to be honest, we are guessing. Without data, we don't have anything validated. So you want validation through data. So one particular thing or example that I want to give is Instagram stories. A while back, before Instagram introduced Instagram stories, the way Snapchat and all these other Snapchat, I think especially, had, they actually analyzed like Snapchat. So they saw, okay, Snapchat stories actually doing for Snapchat, not then act as an extra feature. What was it doing for Snapchat? So it also Snapchat's user growth rate and then engagement with temporary content. So the way now we have TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all these things here. So it helps a lot with engaging with temporal content. All of these things were what validated Instagram's need that, okay, yes, maybe we should also have that kind of feature on ours just to make sure that we have a lot more engagement from our users. Kind of little things are what data helps you guide that, okay, yes, this should be the next thing for us to build. If we are looking to improve user engagement to that metrics, this might be what it is we need to build and stuff like that. So the very next thing would be helping understand users. Yes, it also helps you as a PM to understand users, because data most of the time reveals behavioral patterns. That's what data is. When you collect a lot of data and then you have it represented or you have it analyzed, it helps you see that, oh, okay, a lot of people are doing this instead, or this button is clicked a lot of times to get this action done, stuff like that. That's exactly what one other thing that data would help PMs achieve. When it comes to an example I can give now, I can also mention Spotify. I'm a big Spotify guy. So Spotify is listening behavior now. So one thing that Spotify did a while ago was Spotify collects massive amounts of behavioral data, such as the songs you're listening to. Even YouTube or Netflix do these things too, but not for songs anyway, for like videos and stuff you watch. But the songs you're listening to, how often a particular genre of song is skipped, how often you spend listening on repeat this kind of song. So all of this information, all this user behavior are collected and then eventually used to recommend songs that you might like, or even bring back songs you already like that you haven't heard in a while, or songs you like to listen to every day. It brings them back that, okay, let it be in your playlist 1 to 6 or thereabouts on a daily basis, your daily playlist, so you can listen to them and stuff like that. So that's one other part that data helps PMs out by understanding your users. Then also number 3 now would be in aligning teams. When it comes to aligning teams, your designers, engineers, and even your stakeholders like upper management, executives may come together, may disagree when it comes to like coming together to decide, okay, let's go in this direction, or let's do this, let's do that. But if you have data that shows that this is what we are trying to achieve, to achieve this, we need to do this because the data shows that if we do this, we'll likely get an improvement in these metrics. When everybody sees it, I mean, some people might still like beg to differ, but you know that yes, even the people you're showing that to understand that okay, there is backing to what you're saying, there's validation that we spoke of to what you're saying. So then one other thing to that helps product managers in doing is measuring success now. So without data that you've been collecting, you cannot answer questions like did our products improve? Did this feature help us improve this particular metric? Did this products feature improve what our users are meant to do here, or how we're meant to guide them to this particular goal, stuff like that. So without data, you can't answer that question. So that's one of the other things that data helps PM achieve. Before I continue, I want to confirm again that everybody can still hear me. Just give thumbs up. Spam thumbs up. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you. Okay, so number 2 now would be types of data that PMs use. I think there's something on my slide. Give me a minute, please. Types of data that PMs use. I think I might be missing some things in my slides here. Okay, I think I don't have to speak from my head. Anyways, when it comes to type of data that PMs use now, we talk about the quantitative data, talk about the qualitative data, talk about operational data, and then market data. So quantitative data now are things like, although I should have this somewhere. I'm coming and look for it, but I know I worked on it. So I don't have it. That's weird. So anyways, when it comes to quantitative data now, this is numerical data that you can, that most of the time a figure is attached to it. For example, number of users, your conversion rate, the revenue growth, the engagement metrics, all these things are quantitative data. So a product now can have 1,000 users. That's the quantitative data. But then again, can have maybe just 100 active users or monthly active users. An example I'll give, or I want to give, is Threads. I don't know if you remember Threads from Instagram. Yeah, Threads from Instagram. The very first week, after like 5 days, I think it was able to amass around, was it 50 million users? But as time went on, we got to realize that the active users, the monthly active users who were actually returning and using the Threads were just a fraction of that, maybe 10% or thereabouts of that. So that's one particular aspect that that most people also want to focus on when it comes to types of data. That yes, you have quantitative data, but you also have qualitative data. So now qualitative data is information like why is something happening? Sorry, let me get my lights back on. Yes. Now, why is a particular thing happening? Qualitative data sheds more light on quantitative data. That's exactly how they work. So quantitative data and numerical values, then qualitative data shed more light on quantitative data. Like, okay, yes, why is this particular thing happening? Things like quantitative data now could be, qualitative data now could be number of, what's it called now? User activity on a particular product, on a particular feature, user engagement, stuff like that. I'll actually give you that, okay, yes, this is why this is happening because of this. That's qualitative data. When it comes to operational data now, this refers to your system itself, how easy or how easy it is to interact with. So this is where your page speed comes in, your uptime, your system error or system downtime and stuff like that. Okay, yes. Every time I want to load up your web page. Just say you have a web app now. I want to load up your web application. Out of 10 times, how many times do I load it up and it actually comes up? Or how many times do I load it up and it comes up in less than, I don't know, 2 seconds, less than 3 seconds and stuff like that? Those kind of things are operational. These are also very, 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 very important because slow products tend to have very, very poor operational, what's it called? performances, and then this leads to user churn rates. Okay, as people come in, they can't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. All right. So just on that quick check, please confirm everyone can still hear me. Okay. Thank you, guys. And hope I'm not going too fast. Can everybody like? All right. Thank you for spamming thumbs up. Thank you, guys. So that's operational data. So the last but not the least is that I want to talk about, not the last kind of data, that's the last I want to talk about is market data, because this is also very, very important. When it comes to data, one thing you need to know is what is happening in the market, what competitors are doing, what similar competitors are people that are like having the same kind of your product that in the market that you guys are battling for market share. Similar products are things that are not quite, but in the same niche. So you want to also know how they are performing. For example, now, if you want to use finance, OPay and MoneyPoint are like competitors. But OPay and Accru is, I think, a payments gateway or something, or a car payment stop. They are not competitors, but they are similar because they are both in the finance, a sort of banking, finance, and payment industry. So, but they don't do exactly the same thing, but they're both in the industry. So you want to know what these guys are doing, because you might be surprised that you know how but let me use the human body, for example. Now, you could stumble your toe on, I don't know, your table, and then you have like the craziest migraine or headache from it. So you realize that, wait, why is my toe affecting my head? That's exactly how these products or these relationships can work sometimes. So you want to know exactly what's happening in your industry, in similar products and similar companies, and in competitors too. So that's that. So one thing I also want to talk about would be key product metrics, because there's also a form of, how do I put this? Categorization. Yes, when it comes to product metrics, you have the acquisition metrics, you have engagement metrics, you have retention metrics, and then you have revenue metrics. All of these things are also related to data, because metrics are units of like data. That is what metrics are. And you want to always keep your eye on metrics, because that way you can help you know how it is you're performing. You just don't want to be out there building something and just feeling like, yeah, I think he's doing well. No, you want to be able to confirm that, okay, wait, how is it performing? So if it is not performing as you need it to, you go back to your data and see, okay, this thing failed here. Why did it fail here? You trace it back to your data. That's why metrics are important. So also, apologies for my missing slide pages. I don't know how that happened. So let's dive right into the data-driven decision framework. This now is I think one of the very, very important things when it comes to interacting with data, because a lot of mistakes that people do most time is looking at a particular set of data for, I don't know, a feature, a product, a market, whatever it is, without understanding how to approach it. The easiest thing to do, I won't lie to you, is look at data, plot a chart from it, see, oh, okay, this thing is the most in this data, and I want the least, so I want to reduce it. Maybe I should just remove it, and then that will solve the problem. That can be very, very erroneous, because you might touch something and affect another metric entirely. So you want to make sure that you are approaching your data with an appropriate framework that will give you the best results. So there isn't just one like framework out there. There are several, but this is one of the easiest that I've found to realize in a couple of years I've been in the field. So this particular framework now is just like linear. From this, you proceed to this, you proceed to this, and then you proceed to this. So it's also nice to note that you just can't open dashboard, look at numbers, and immediately start making decisions. Yeah, that's like the erroneous part. I'm hoping this would help nudge most of us in the right direction of. So without like a structured way to interpret data, it's very, very easy to draw wrong conclusions. And actually, much later, we'll talk about common mistakes that can come up from trying to make data-driven decisions. So you can be like, you can have the right idea, but wrong execution. So that's something that we also want to try to prevent. So let's dive right in with the first one. Okay, so yes, this would be the framework I would want to employ for data-driven decision making. Number one would be to define the problem. So now when it comes to defining the problem, what exactly is this? You know, there's this popular saying that a problem well defined is half solved. That works in almost every aspect of life, I won't lie to you. Once you're able to properly define a problem, you're like, okay, yes, I think I know how to approach this now. But you're still thinking that I'm not even sure what's wrong. I don't even know, yeah, like you're still far from the solution. So once you properly define that problem, then yes, you are just halfway through the solution. So before looking at any data, you need to first understand the exact issue you're trying to investigate. For example, now you have this application and then you realize that a lot of users start the sign up process but never complete it. Let's use that as our what's it called now, use case, as an example during this flow. A lot of users start the sign up process but end up not completing it. You want to define your problem statement to be simple and encompassing, such that you can have an example like, okay, users are abandoning the sign up process before completing their account registration. You have that, you put it up somewhere so that always guides you, and it guides you in the analysis you're about to go into, and it helps you stay focused. Because if you don't have that definition, if you've not defined the problem, you realize that you start solving something, or you start off with trying to solve something. Midway through, when you ask yourself that, what am I trying to solve? You realize that the problem statement has changed because you didn't have it properly defined, and that will just end up leading you astray and then wasting your time and stuff like that. So we don't want to have that happening. That's why you have to define the problem. Number two now will be some identify relevant metrics. So like I mentioned before, metrics are a form of a guide. They help you know if you are on the right course, if your solution is giving you the right results. If you were not measuring any metric from the get-go, you realize that, okay, when you want to check that, okay, wait, is this thing actually working? You realize that, okay, wait, I can't even tell it's working or not. For example, let's say a sick person now, because I don't know, it's rainy season and maybe malaria, mosquitoes are like spreading their malaria and stuff, or plasmodium, whatever it is that they're spreading. And then someone is ill, he's done the test, he has a fever, maybe throwing up. Those are like, unfortunately, the metrics you first check that, okay, no, this person might have a form of illness. Then when they get the medications prescribed, they start using it. When you come back and want to check the results, you want to first see that, wait, the fever they had broken. If they were reading body temperatures of maybe 38 before, 37.5, they are back to around 36 or 36.5. You know, okay, yes, the measurement is changing and heading in the direction you want it to go in. That's exactly what identifying the right metrics does for you. So if you don't have these metrics identified, it's just look like, okay, by the time you've put in your work, try to solve the problem, you go back to the drawing board to see, okay, what did I have before compared to what I have now? You won't be able to like make any justification because you have nothing to compare with before. So that's one very reason why this step is also very, very important. Number three now will be to now analyze the data. So when it comes to analyzing the data, this is actually where like some of the work is, because you have to sit down, you have to understand that, okay, wait, this data now that I'm looking at, how can I uncover patterns, those behaviors we spoke of earlier? How can I extract them from what I'm currently looking at? And this, I mean, there are so many tools you can use for this anyway. They're like Mixpanel, Google Analytics is one that collects and helps you even like interpret it already. Then so many different tools that you can use for analyzing your data. But yeah, this is the parts you want to focus on. You want to put in a lot of your processing skills, or processing tools, not necessarily skills, processing tools. There are a lot of AI analysis engines out there too that you can also use. So number two is identify relevant metrics. That's number two for the framework now. Number one is define the problem correctly. Number two is identify the relevant metrics that are attached to that problem. Number three now is finally analyzing the data you have that give you indication of this problem. So number 4, okay, for example, now let's still dwell a little on analyzing data. So when it comes to that issue of sign up, and then you add this kind of data, so to speak, you add open sign up, you have 10,000 people open sign up, email, enter their email, 8,000 did, enter their other details, 4,000 did, confirm account, 2,500 did, computer sign up, 2,200 did. You also realize that, okay, wait, there is the first huge drop-off point is between this flow. So what happened? It could be a form, it could be maybe how the form is arranged. It could be just an example anyway, just a simple basic example so we can understand what it is we're trying to drive from. So you want to start with, oh, okay, there's a drop-off here. Let's start with this bridge. Let's see what is going wrong, why we have a lot of drop-off at this point. That's one of the insights you could get from analyzing your data. Then number 4 will now be to generate your hypothesis. After you have gone through the information, gone through the data rather, extracted some information that could maybe guide you and nudge you in the right directions, you now want to generate hypotheses. These hypotheses now are, like I mentioned, okay, I haven't mentioned, are experiments or will help you run experiments in the sense that, okay, if users are having issues entering their details, should we have it such that we compress everything they need to enter into just maybe 2 form fields instead of adding 10 form fields? Maybe let's add into 2 form fields first. Would that improve? Those are your hypotheses. So you want to have under hypothesis 2 is where like several kinds of testing, your user adoption tests and stuff like that. So you also want to consider those kind of things. That'll be fine. Let's try this. Let me try this. And I won't lie to you, a lot of companies will not want you to experiment with their products. However, the trade-off now is when you experiment with this kind of information, not just anything now, it's kind of like properly thought out information, you discover a lot of other things that can help grow or even boost other metrics in that same product. So it's just a trade-off that people don't know is happening. No. Don't try out new stuff in my products. But if you try out new stuff in your products, you get to realize a lot more things that you didn't even know that, existed before. That's one particular thing about generating a hypothesis now. So yes, I label this framework because you would have to sit down and then think that, okay, yes, from this data, I got this. Maybe I should try this to help do this, because that's when your like brain power has to come. Maybe I should try this to help do this. You could also consult research, consult best practices from competitors, from similar companies, just to see what they're all doing. But I would like to inform or no one, just inform me, that's like how diplomatic as I can put it. Just inform you that be very wary of copying what other people have done, because most times you feel like, okay, yes, you guys are in the same market and you can just copy what they've done, but you don't know what's going on in the background. You don't know the kind of access to the market that other competitor has. Maybe they have a direct access to the market such that they are working with someone that gives them leads, maybe 50,000 leads on a monthly basis. I mean, you don't want to compare that kind of person and just copy what they are doing, because they might not put in a lot of effort into what they are doing, knowing that they have a lot of leads waiting for them at the end of the month. That's not something you want to do. So after you have your hypothesis generated, you want to run experiments. This is now where you come in and run your experiments. So like I mentioned before, this leads into things like your A/B testing. Your version 1 is, okay, the original or the control, and you have the test where you try to match and see, okay, which is performing better, or do I tweak this and have something else again done, stuff like that. So yes, that's where when your experiments come in. Then after this, you will be informed enough to make a decision that, okay, no, let's go with version B, because after I ran this gave me this result, and it is nudging us closer to where it is we want to get to. So yes, this is the framework that I mentioned. So number 4 on our list to discuss now would be what to do when data is limited. A quick check-in again. Confirm you can all hear me. Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate that. Okay, so what to do when data is limited? This is a very, very important thing to note, like I mentioned earlier, because in this part of the world, in Nigeria especially, it's almost as if we don't care about data, and it shouldn't be because data would help us in a lot of things that we are doing. One particular thing that I'm working on with someone is to enable businesses start automatically or to have an automated system to help them gather data. So you don't have to manually do it and stuff like that because it's a problem in this country and not just in this country, in Africa too, because we tend to just disregard what has happened in the past and then always freestyle everything we're getting into, which shouldn't be because it means everything that is happening back in the past is being wasted. Let's look at the past. Maybe it can help predict the future for us and then help us make better decisions. That's what it is we have to do. So what do you do when data is limited? For your product now, you as a product manager, what do you do when you don't have data that can inform you on the next feature to build or the directions to when you're planning your roadmap or stuff like that? The first thing you have to do is go out there and talk to people because data is most of the time gotten from people. So you have to go out there, talk to your users, conduct user interviews, ask them questions. You'll be shocked that talking to 5 or sometimes 10 people, maybe even less, to be honest, maybe 2 or 3, but just have a proper figure like 5, 10, thereabouts. You would realize that, oh, okay, wait, I didn't even know about the products I am building. I didn't know this is how users are perceiving these products. So when you talk to them, you get to understand what they are doing, what they are using the products for, what they feel they should be able to do on the products. Oh, and one thing is when you're talking to users, try not to nudge them in the direction you want them to go. So always ask open-ended questions. Don't ask questions that would nudge them in a particular direction or that will make them biased because then you are you are contaminating your data and you don't want to do that. So always just make sure you ask open-ended questions. Like, okay, fine. If you want to, I don't know, make a purchase on our website, what do you do? Don't ask them that, okay, yes, when you get to checkout, some people might want to go to get checkout. Some people just maybe add to cart and from their cart, they expect that they are able to pay or make stuff like that. So never just nudge, try not to nudge your customer, your users rather. Always ask open-ended questions. Okay, fine. What do you do? How do you walk through this? That will also help you put you in their mindsets to understand, oh, okay, my users are wanting to do this where I am forcing them to do this. And from the popular book, Don't Make Me Think, don't stress your users. Build what they are familiar with. Build what they would do instinctively. Not that, okay, so you have to force them that, okay, no, maybe I should carry this to put this one before I can use, you don't want to do that. So that's one of the things you need to do when you feel like, okay, you're working at a startup or building a product and then there isn't enough data to guide you in a couple of decisions you want to do. Go out there and talk to people. If you don't have a product, if you don't have an MVP to show them yet, they have to be hypothetical about this. Okay, if I'm building, for example, talking to someone, if I'm building a product that would help you, I don't know, phase through walls, what would you use it for? Or what would be the first thing you do? How would you do this? Just ask questions like that, then help them. That will help you understand what it is that your users want to do and stuff like that. So that is for talking to people. Number 2 now would be to okay, yes, consult best practices. I don't know if I mentioned this a while ago, but yes, consult best practices. When it comes to consulting best practices, I mentioned your competitors, and then I mentioned your people that are in similar industry, that are in that same niche specific industry as you are. Understand what it is that you are doing, especially when they have metrics that you also want to attain your products. Yes, understand what they are doing. Okay, so this is what they did to attain this. Maybe they had access to a form of data that you did not, and then they're getting that. So yes, let me see. Okay, this is what they are doing. Let me see if I can also experiment with it. Maybe you go back to hypothesis, try to do an hypothesis from that, or run your own personal experiment, see if it work for you before you can make a decision and stuff like that. Yes. So consult best practices. Then also, you now want to build a data collection system. This is what we'll be talking about next, even when it comes to building data collection system. This is one thing that I want to encourage almost everybody I talk to, or every startup founder, every business owner that I talk to. When you are generating your personal data, please keep it, please store it up. That is going to help you in 5 years. That's going to help you in 10 years. And as a PM, that's one thing you also want to be working on when it comes to a startup or a product that you are working on. So when it comes to PM now, I'm talking about you as maybe someone that's working in a company, or you as someone that is building your own product. So that's one thing you want to work. You want to make sure that you are keeping your own data, not just letting it fly around the air and then not pay attention to it because you feel like, it's not bringing money for you now. It might not bring in money for you now, but it will help you at the long run. That, okay, wait, this is how my product has been behaving over the years. So if you have your product data for like maybe 5 years, the 6th year can actually be very, very informative if you use that data to make decisions based on what you've been seeing. That, okay, wait, if my product for some reason get a lot of traction during the festive season, maybe I should push more ads during those periods to make sure that, okay, yes, we hit new records, or we get this, or we get stuff, just stuff like that. So you want to ensure that you are properly building a good data collection system. So how exactly do we now build data collection systems? First thing that you want to do is, of course, define the product events. So these product events right now are things like, okay, user actions, yes, essentially user action. So user sign-ups, user click rates, all of these things are okay. Yes, how it is, how do they affect, or how they pertain to your particular products? What is it that I am building that these metrics is being, or this action is being done a lot? If it's been done a lot, or even not a lot, actually, it's being done on your products, you want to understand the number of times it is being done. That would help. That's the data you want to be keeping. So that's one particular thing you want to be keeping. So also, because I believe a lot in automation, I will not tell you to do all this in manually. I say, okay, yes, go and check it yourself and then write some spreadsheets. No, please use tools, and use tools a lot. Like, let your head be filled with a lot of different tools that can help you speed up your processes, or help you automate processes that you would otherwise forget. Because that's, to be honest, that's what tools are meant for. They're meant to help us in where we are weak. So if I automate something, I don't have to remember to change that thing every 2 hours or every 3 hours if I already have it automated. So you want to implement analytics tracking tools. A couple of them, like I mentioned before, Mixpanel, Google Analytics, Amplitude, even Firebase too, because it's very, very robust and this for so many different things. So you also want to you also want to implement that. Then, of course, establishing a reporting process. That how often do you want to go back there to make sure that, number one, this thing is being collected. Number two, this thing is still relevant to what it is that you are doing. Not that you have changed, maybe, products pivots every now and then now. So maybe you've pivoted and then you're still gathering metrics that are not relevant to you anymore, or that don't really matter to your product anymore. That will end up being useless to you. So you don't want that to happen. You want to make sure that these things are properly monitored and make sure that they are always still relevant to you no matter what. So, okay, so number 6, now talking about common mistakes driven decision making. Yes, this is one aspect that I would really, really love that we pay attention to, because there is the mindset of wanting to do what is right, and then there is also the aspect of not being able to do what is right, despite the fact of you wanting to do what is right. And then if you do what is wrong, it just didn't matter at the end of the day. So that's one thing that happens in this case a lot, because most people want to make informed decisions, but they go about it the wrong way. So we'll be addressing common mistakes now that are related to this particular aspect, which is data-driven decision making. So one of the important or foremost errors that people tend to do is focus on metric, impress, any meaningful business outcome. An example I want to give is total download number or total number of downloads. A product can have 100,000 downloads. I mean, yeah, that's pretty impressive. Like you want to put that out on your marketing, social media platforms. Okay, yes, we just crossed it, 100,000 downloads and likes. When you come back in and then see your actual users, your monthly active users, you might see something of around 5,000 or 1,000. That's how many percent of 100,000 downloads. That's really, really low. So you want to focus on important metrics, not just vanity metrics. It's good to encourage yourself with metrics like this because, yes, it means something is working. Maybe your PR team or social media team or digital marketing team are doing something very, very well, getting people to download it. So if people are not downloading it, what could be the issue? You can employ your, what's it called there again? The funnel we discussed, your strategy. Yeah, we discussed earlier. I can employ that here to that, okay, wait, if I have a lot of downloads, it means people are interested in the products. But why then are they bouncing? Why is the bounce rate so high? Or why is the churn rate so high? What is happening? Those kind of things will also help people. Yes, remember to focus on important metrics, not just vanity metrics. Then number 2 now would be confusing correlation with causation. So another common mistake, like I mentioned a while ago, was two things might be happening at the same time, but it doesn't mean that one costs the other. It doesn't mean that A costs B. So one thing that could happen that I've kind of seen happen anyway is that after redesigning your own page or redesigning a part of your website, sales could increase. I mean, it might be tempting to assume that, okay, yes, the new design caused the increase, but it's very possible that it could be something totally different that caused that increase, that will cause that, what's it called, spike in sales. It could be a seasonal demand, it could be a marketing campaign that just happened to click at that right time. So you don't always want to assume that correlation is causation. So you always don't want to assume that. You want to just make sure, okay, wait, let me double check, let me confirm, let me make sure that, okay, yes, this is not what is causing this. Because if I think this is causing this and I focus a lot on this and this doesn't end up improving, I've wasted resources, I wasted time, I wasted effort and everything in that regard. So that was one particular aspect that we should also focus on. Then ignoring qualitative data, I mentioned this earlier too, that numbers are actually very useful, but they don't always tell you the full story. So when it comes to, okay, an example now is that analytics might show that, okay, users leave a page quickly, but then the data alone doesn't explain why. Data alone cannot explain why it's that they are leaving that page quickly. So to understand the reason, you need to properly combine your quantity data with insight. Okay, ask users always, okay, user, talking to users now, okay, wait. So we noticed that you abandon at this particular stage or at this particular level. Can you walk me through your flow? And then the person will start walking you through their flow that, okay, no, I start by opening this. And then when I get here, I realize that he's asking for too much this, asking for too many this, or I just didn't want to put this details here because it felt personal to me. That's those kind of stuff. So user interviews, surveys, usability tests, all of these things are qualitative information that can properly inform you of why something is happening. Remember, we define qualitative data as why something is happening. So yes, you want to understand why, you want to get to the bottom of the point that it's besides me seeing that this thing is happening, I need to know why this thing is happening. So qualitative data shed a lot more light on quantitative data. So number 4 now would be collecting data without clear questions. This is also very erroneous to make because data should, in a way, always be used to answer a specific question or solve a particular problem. Because you could just get overwhelmed with dashboards, with metrics that don't actually guide any decisions whatsoever. So you want to make sure that you're not just collecting data, but you're asking the right questions and focusing on the metrics that matter the most. Like going back to the vanity metrics now, also make sure you're focusing on the metrics that matter the most. And that is one of the things that are also very, very important in that regards. So I think I'm nearing the end. All right, so now I'll want to just discuss what it is that the future holds when it comes to making decisions as a product manager, as someone that is owning a product, as someone that is building a product. One very important thing to note is that as technology evolves, the role of data in PMing, in making a product, in building a product, always scales. Matter of fact, a lot of people have believed that that the rate at which we are going, almost nothing would yield results except based off data. I mean, I've always believed that anyway, but sometimes you can vibe it and feel like, okay, no, let me do this, and luckily it will yield some results for you. But I mean, we'll get to that point in products, in tech, that you need information because everything's going to be out there. And if you don't pay attention to those data, those entries that you're trying to work on, you'll be led astray. So that's one very, very important thing that we also need to note in that regards. And of course, when it comes to the future of making well-informed decisions, a couple of things that will be coming up or that already actually exist are things like the AI-assisted decision making. There are a lot of AI tools out there that analyze things much faster than humans do. Normally, you might want to take your data analytics team. I'm talking about maybe 5 years ago, about data analytics team. My analysis team might take around, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks to analyze a particular set of data and then give you insights from it. But with tools that currently exist, these things can be done in the same day and give you information in the same day. The same way front-end developers, back-end developers have improved their work with code assistance AI tools now. Same way you as a PM have improved your work with several AI tools that are out there, designers, everybody. So yes, all of these AI, the advent of AI has made it such that these things will be done much faster, much cleaner, and can do a whole lot more than what the normal average human could always do. Then another trend you might want to focus on is real-time product analytics. Yeah, so I just what's it called, touched on this a little bit now. A lot of platforms right now, what's called, are gathering data in real time, analyzing it, and giving you information like in real time based on that data. So like everything is moving so fast. That's one of the trends that we'll be seeing in the future. They've already started like taking shape and coming to light, but it's just they'll be a lot more prominent in the coming future. Then predictive analysis too. This is the part that I love the most, and I hope that we get there as a nation, as a continent. Let's be able to properly understand what to expect from whatever it is we're setting out to work on as a product unit. So a while ago, teams used to like spend a lot of time in what's it called now, analyzing what has already happened, or trying to guess what it is that will analyze what has already happened and trying to guess what it is that is going to happen. So a lot of those stuff are time wasting. A lot of them are not even accurate. But with everything going on right now, with the tools out there, with advent of AI, actually, a lot of these things are going to be a lot more realistic and reachable, not just for like top Fortune or Fortune 500 companies, but for also product managers and startups, for businesses, for small, medium businesses and stuff like that. So yes, that is going to be bad. I'm trying to keep track of my time, so that's why I want to rush. So, okay, yes, I think this brings me to the end of my session today. One thing I'd like to leave with us is a micro certification that we can take at our convenience by Product School. So the link is here. Maybe I'll share this slide with us later. And then the link is here. If you just go here, I think it is a maybe 1 month program or stuff like that, which really just help you. It has a lot of hands-on, what's it called? Hands-on things for you to do in regarding analyzing products, getting insight from data and stuff like that. So it's very, very good when it comes to introducing maybe like young product managers into product analysis or product data analysis. So yes, it's going to be here. I'm going to share it with the organizer, and then she would share that with the rest of us. But for this, I think it's going to make it the end of my session today. I don't want to take too much. I want to leave this little time for questions and answers. So, thanks very much for being a wonderful audience. And Wamaka, over to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Sam. That was very, very insightful. I think I picked up a thing or two from this class. Thank you so much. So, guys, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand and ask your questions, or you can drop them in the chat. Okay. One hand's already up. All right. Obina, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My question actually goes to when you're talking about data and let's say types of data, you said quantitative, qualitative, those ones I really know as a product manager, a product designer, kind of. But is there any other way? There's something you are talking about qualitative data. I did not really get you. And then operational and then market data. Can you please throw more light on it? Then when it comes to metrics, I didn't really get you. And then the third one, you're talking about defining the problem, then metrics, analyzing data. On the analyzing of data, I didn't also get you there. So please, I really want you to throw more. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Obinia Frank. So I think I'll start from the very top first thing that you asked. I think you asked me to go over qualitative data, operational data, and market data again. So when it comes to qualitative, yeah. So when it comes to, let me just go over everything again. Quantitative data now, like I mentioned before, are numerical data, are things that have numbers attached to them. So for example, you have 10,000 users, you have 2 million downloads, you have 300 click-through rate, or you have a lot of different things like that. Those things are numerical data. Qualitative data now helps you understand why something is happening. If you have 1,000 downloads, sorry, if you have 100,000 downloads, qualitative data will help you understand why it is you have 100,000 downloads. So qualitative data now involves things like user interviews or conducting surveys or seeing your product reviews, what people are saying about your reviews. If you have 100,000 downloads, then you want to understand why, you could start with product reviews. That, okay, I know when you go to your product reviews, you see people talking about things like, oh, wow, this is a very, very good application, or it's seamless to use. It helped me pay my fees very well or very fast and stuff like that. Those kind of information, while you can't quantify them, you can't attach a number to it or a unit to it. It is a qualitative kind of data. Or still on the notes of having 100,000 downloads, if you speak to if you're very hardworking and then you speak to 1,000 people to ask them, oh, why are you guys downloading our application? And they give you that reason. All they've given you there is a form of qualitative data. So it's not quantitative data, but the reason they gave you will now help you understand, oh, this is the reason why our download rates are so high. Do you understand how qualitative data sheds light on quantitative data now? I want to make sure I'm answering your question properly.
Sure, yeah, you are. Because just, yeah, of course.
Okay. Thank you. So let's go to the next one, which was now operational data. Operational data is how your product operates, how well your product operates. For work on web pages and stuff like that, you have things like page speed or page load time or time to first byte, stuff like that. All these things are operational data in the sense that they help you understand how your product operating, not how it is performing in the market, though, how well it is operating, because that alone self it is problem on its own. If your page, if you're building a website now, a web page, and then it's taking 5 seconds to load, you know the approved load time that Google published years ago was your page load under 2.3 seconds. I think it was first 3.4 seconds, but with 5G, with speeds, internet speeds, it's in only God knows what. That load time has reduced again to around 2 seconds thereabouts. So your entire website page needs to load at a particular speed, at a particular time, to make sure that people don't get disinterested and leave your platform. That kind of data now is an operational data. So page load time, server downtime, or your uptime, stuff like that. Those are operational data. So this relates to your system performance, essentially, not market or product performance.
Kind of when and you want to do something and then there's a downtime.
Yeah. So exactly, downtime now is a negative metric because you don't want that to happen to your system, but it should still be covered. It should still be what's it called now? It should still be looked into. It should still be collected or analyzed. So that's that. Then market data is what is happening in your market, in your industry, what your competitors are doing, what the market that your product is going to be competing in, what it looks like. For example, if you are competing in e-commerce or e-commerce space for apparels, you want to know exactly if you're selling Nike shoes from your vendor, you know how much you're getting it, but you also want to know how much your competitors are pricing their own. Because if you tell yourself that no, I really don't care, I want to make 3x from everything I sell, and your competitors are there pricing want to make maybe 1.5x, 0.8x, they'll obviously outsell you because your pricing is not competitive in the market. So this kind of market data you also want to focus on, your competitor pricing, industry reports, market demands, and stuff in that regard. So that's what market data essentially is. So did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So your next question, could you remind me, please? What did you ask next?
Okay, the next question was when we are talking about defining the problem, like when you have a data, you need to know your data, right? And define it probably, and then know the metrics, analyzing data. So that analyzing data before the hypothesis is what I don't really get when we are talking about.
Yes. Okay, thank you for that. So again, a short walkthrough. The first thing you have to do is understand your problem, define it, have it so that everybody in your team understands what you got to do. And you already have the data from this is, I ended up talking about what to do when data is limited. This is in a pseudo ideal situation now when you have data to work with. So you've defined your problem, you've identified the metrics that are attached to those problems. Now it's time for you to go into that data to go and analyze it. So what you do when it comes to analyzing that data is, because you already have the problem we defined before was, I think someone that's, they were trying to, I think it was around a bounce rate or something. Users were abandoning the sign-up processes before. I think that was the problem we defined, right? So into your data now, that problem is going to inform you of what you should go and look at in your data. That's why I'll give this example to the fine. And the problem I was talking about was users are abandoning the sign-up process. They are not getting to this place because 10,000, just 3,000 they are getting here. So they're not getting to this place as much as I want it, as much as I want them to get there. What do I do? So I come to the data gathered that is related to that problem statement, because assume data bulk, you get your data almost at once, and you can't just go about analyzing everything without a particular direction. So your problem statement will guide your direction. When you come into your data, you are now looking for things that are related to your that sign up problem you have defined earlier. That's when we came here and said that. So 10,000 enter the email. There's a 2,000 drop off in between here. Then 4,000 out of that 8,000 enter their details. It means that there's a 50% drop off here. There's something fishy there. Let's continue. You see that 500 drop off when it comes to confirm their accounts, and then just 300 drop off when it comes to complete. So it means that the first part of the funnel I want to check is where there is the most drop off, where there is 50%. This, just looking at it alone, has helped you. By looking at that data, you analyze it and be able to get some insights that, okay, I think this is where the problem is. The problem lies between entering their emails and entering their details. So maybe people don't want to, your hypothesis now can now be, maybe people don't feel safe entering their details. That's an hypothesis that can come from this information you've just seen. Maybe people don't feel safe entering their details. Maybe people don't feel the need to enter their details. These are the kind of things that you want to take that, okay, wait, let's see how we can go back to the drawing board and withdraw these to help, what's it called, mitigate these problems I have seen in my data. So that's exactly what analyzing your data does for you. You go into it with that defined problem that you had from step one. You go into that data, because if you didn't define the problem, you are going to that data. That data is like a needle in an haystack. Haystack is so big and so what's it called, humongous, that it is what's it called now? It's so big and so humongous that you have just the slightest chance of finding that needle. But your problem statement now is like a magnet that you now have in that haystack that can help you look around and maybe easily find the needle, the metallic needle in that gigantic haystack that you find yourself in. So that's what the problem statement helps you do. So that's what analyzing your data is all about. So I don't know if that was able to shed more light on that for you.
Thank you. You did well. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Any other questions?
So guys, are there any other questions? Okay. So if there are no other questions, I would like to say thank you so much, Sam, for joining this call. Thank you for sharing with us. And I'll also be dropping your LinkedIn handle in the chat. So guys, feel free to connect with Sam on LinkedIn, and the material will be dropped on Discord. Thank you so much, Sam, once again.
Thanks so much for having me. It was fun being here. And we all learned something in one way or the other. So thank you guys for having me.
Yes, we did. Thank you so much. So have a lovely evening, everyone. I'm dropping his link in the chat as well as on the description. Bye, Sam.
Have a lovely weekend too. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye.